What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Sports Card Madness. For this episode, back by popular demand, we have Cousin Eddie. The last time he joined us was a holiday episode, and everyone loved it. And we figured, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, we should bring Cousin Eddie back because he definitely likes beer. So, Cousin Eddie, welcome back to the pod. Also got LZ here as usual.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, Eddie, happy St. Patty's Day. It's good to see
Marty,
you again, my friend.
Oh, wow. All right. So for those
There
on
we are.
audio, Cousin Eddie already has a perfectly poured pint of Guinness. So this should be a good one.
That is fitting.
Awesome.
Yes. Mhm.
So, Cousin Eddie,
Maybe.
what have you been up to over the last 3 months, man? You text me all the time about breaks you've won and redemption cards. Like, what's going on in the card world for you?
Well, I didn't do what you guys told me. I didn't sell that redemption. I'm still waiting for it. I got another 3 years to wait for that bad boy.
Oh, you still haven't got it yet? Remind
No.
remind the audience, what was the redemption?
It was a Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rushman dual auto out of 25. Now they're
Mm.
busy, so they're not going to be signing anything anytime soon. They're in season now, so I'll probably get it probably in 2-3 years. So still waiting for that. I've been doing breaks. I'm on a cold streak on breaks, so not getting much cards. I'm living on base cards in my house now. I should stop building a castle with all my base cards I got in here now. My cellar base cards. I don't know. I should start a big bonfire and just burn them all. Unless anyone else wants them, I'll send them all my base cards. Because
Oh man, it is funny.
the
All these
problem
base
now,
cards.
We
It's all
should
about
do an
this.
episode on creative ideas to do with base cards.
Right.
We
Right.
we really should.
Well, what people really do now is they do mystery packs and they load up
There you
their
go.
base card and then throw a couple, mystery packs on eBay. Here you go. Here's a mystery pack. Open it up, $5.
Mhm.
I saw one
Yeah,
wild
one-
one around Halloween where people were packing up their base cards into little like individual bags and giving those out at Halloween. I was like, that's kind of interesting.
That's cool.
Not sure if that would fly in my neighborhood, but
That would be cool.
I
Yeah.
actually like that idea. Yeah, especially for kids. That's a good way of getting kids into the hobby.
right.
Hand
I
out a
mean,
bunch of base cards to them.
it's better than the landfill, you know? It's
Yeah.
where most of them end up going.
Mm-hmm.
At least they're
So-
biodegradable. They're paper.
So,
right.
cousin Eddie, what is that redemption card worth like right now on eBay? Have any sold or you got any?
Yeah, sold. They're going for like $1,000, $1,200, I think. The last I checked. So
So you don't want to sell it as a redemption card, huh?
I can't now.
Not
I
too late.
redeemed it.
Oh,
Sent it in,
you
Nick.
did redeem it. My bad. I spaced out.
Can't sell it now. So I gotta wait for it.
All
You're
right,
at the
yeah.
mercy now.
Keep it now. It's gonna be a nice looking card. Like I said, they screwed up with that redemption because the blues were all out of 25 and the golds were out of 50. And then for some reason, these dual autographs, they switched them. So people were selling the blues as 25s when they were 50s, and they were selling those for like $2,000 or asking for $2,000, and the golds were like 1,000, and people were buying the golds. And then, oh crap, those are out of 25.
Wow, that's crazy, cousin Eddie. I would have sold that, to be honest. So I think you mentioned that you wanted to actually see the card during the holiday episode. So I do respect that. Like, there's part of it where you want to get the card in and see what it actually looks like and hold it in your hand, even if it takes 3 years, right?
Mhm.
Well,
Hmm.
if they didn't screw that up, I probably would have sold it. But everyone was so confused because obviously the gold's more than the blue. So people weren't paying for the gold because, and I'm not going to sell it for very cheap. I know it's out of 25. So that was the
Right.
problem. Everyone was all mixed up on eBay about what the blue and the gold were out of. So I said,
Hmm.
you know what? I'm just going to redeem it, wait. And then when I have it and I can show it's out of 25, I'll sell it. But there's only
Hey,
25.
Yeah,
Right.
it's gonna be a beautiful card when you
Yeah.
get it. I mean, at this point,
Just
it-
cross your
it-
fingers, Gunner,
it
and
is-
that turned out good, though.
it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
You just gotta wait it out now.
So far, they're doing good. They're almost somewhat safe. Even with an injury, they've kind of done well. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you
Gunner's
might
hurt,
be
man.
okay, unless it's like a 5 year, redemption or something crazy. You might be all right
Mm.
on that. So
Yeah,
You never
Gunner's
know.
already hurt.
You never know. They might have already signed him too. You don't know. You might get it right before the season, but
Yeah.
if the season rolls around, then
Well,
you're
the
waiting a year.
forget it. Yeah.
The worst thing if they come back sticker. I mean,
Mhm.
Oh,
give me a double sticker autograph. I mean, if you're gonna wait on it,
Oh.
have them hand sign these cards. I mean,
Hey, wait a minute. Is that
that's what they're gonna do?
Eddie? Is that what you're expecting? You're expecting on-card autos?
Yeah.
Oh,
If it's a redemption, you would think they would give them the
Okay.
card. I
Yeah.
mean, not send
No,
them
you
a
would. Mhm.
50 stickers and go, here you go, and then slap them on there. No
Wow,
question.
that's I never thought of it that way. Like it doesn't say on the redemption card it'll be a
Nope.
sticker or an on-card auto. We just kind of
Do
like
all.
it's a mystery, right? It's just dual
Mhm.
auto, but it could be two separate stickers. That's
Like,
wild. And you don't know
like
till you
you
get
would
it.
think if it's a redemption, they're trying to get them hand signed. I mean, why you could have had them sign a sticker and stick it on there and just put it in the pack. I mean, that's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's a whole different ballgame. I mean, we talked to Adrian Dantley. He says he starts just after breakfast. He ends at 8 o'clock at night, and he signs 3,000 stickers for Panini. And it seems like it's once a month.
Mhm.
That's wild. And he's, he hasn't played in the league in 30 years. I can only imagine how many they're trying to get these newer players to sign. It's a great question. It's probably less than that because they're active, but
Yeah.
yeah, it really
And
cheapens it.
there has been some drama recently on players signing too. I mean, it just came out a couple, I don't know, it was probably a week ago, that some of the NFL rookies are either using a secretary or they're using an auto pen
Oh, right.
or I don't know, but a lot of these cards are coming back and the signatures or the autograph is not matching a previous
Mhm.
autograph. And PSA is starting to reject some of them. So,
That's
you know,
crazy.
that's something we'll have to see what happens with that. I'm sure over time we'll find out more and more. I know Dak Prescott got into some trouble. I think it was a couple years ago because I think he was using an auto pen. But that's something we should we should definitely track.
Wow. Yeah,
Well,
it was
I mean,
Anthony Richardson, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson was one of them. Yep.
yeah,
Which is a shame because he's a big one that everybody's chasing.
yeah.
So what do
Yeah.
you do?
But
You have somebody sit down in a hotel room and sign like 2,000 things for you? Like that
Well,
seems crazy.
Nick, I don't want to waste my time signing
yeah,
2,000
what would you
stickers.
rather be
I don't
doing?
have time to
Training
do that.
and making millions playing the game, or sitting in a room for 8 hours signing
You know.
stickers? I
I mean,
mean,
are you getting paid for it? I
Of
mean,
course you are.
so then don't
I
accept
hope
it and
I
just don't
hope
sign
everybody
anything.
heard.
yeah, but you're getting your cake and you're eating it. Have some guy sign them for you. You're getting paid because they think you're signing them, and then you're going and playing football and making millions. I mean, getting
Interesting.
Mhm.
both the best of the two worlds. That's what
Yep.
the president's autographs all did too. They had their secretaries all sign them. So that's why some president's autographs are so hard to get because secretary would just sign them all off. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean that happened all
So,
the time in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You'd send a card to a player. Like I've seen 4 or 5 Lou Alcindor signed cards, and it's just a secretary, because that's like a $30,000-$40,000 card, like his rookie.
Right.
And I mean, it's not really. It's almost. It's a weird little space. It's like you didn't want to disappoint the fan, so you kind of like, just like with the
Mhm.
president's secretary, right? Like here you go. Or
Mhm.
even nowadays, like Chevy Chase, you can send to him, and it's just an auto pen. John
Right.
Travolta, same thing. It's kind of like they don't want to disappoint you, but I feel like, I mean, I wonder how much Panini's even paying these guys. Like, what do do they pay him 100 grand to do this? Like a couple hundred grand, 500,000? Like, I wonder how much it is. Um, yeah, it's very interesting.
well, the big guys get a lot of money, and that's why
Right.
all these other companies put in these got rookies that no one wants because they can pay them a penny to sign things. Who wants
Right.
a David Hamilton Red Sox autograph? Don't get me wrong, he's on our Red Sox, but in this year's Series One baseball, I mean, I've seen about 30 of his autographs get pulled out of packs. I'm like, oh God,
Wow. You've already seen 30 of
no,
them?
this guy, what else is he gonna do? Oh, I got my own signature. I'm gonna sign away, sign away, sign away, and
Mhm.
those
Mhm.
guys they probably pay nothing because no one wants a David Hamilton. So I love
Yeah.
you, David Hamilton, but I mean,
Sorry, bud.
but it's an autograph that people don't really desire to get. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Nick and I,
that much cheap
bef-
to get 'em.
before Nick and I interviewed Adrian Dantley, I think the two of us were probably a bit naive on how this process worked, right?
Yeah.
We did think that um, they were having Dantley show up to their offices, sit down in a conference room, and they watched him sign a couple hundred stickers, but come to find out they're all getting mailed. So for the audience, that is what's happening with these stickers.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
they're mailing them out. Um, the athlete,
Well, that's why-
as Nick mentioned, right? They're trying to bang them out in a weekend. Adrian Dantley does at least. But some of these other athletes, they're busy and they're just probably not making it a priority. And then it's due in a day and they can't sign 2,000 stickers in a day. So, all right, get your friends over, get your mother over, get your assistant over. You all grab the Sharpie and you bang these things out. And yeah, I'm sure that happens.
You know who they should get? They should get the guy that signs the Mickey, Goofy, and Donald Duck autos, man. Whoever does that does a great job.
At the
does
parks,
it?
at
Yeah.
the parks, you're saying?
No, the you know those triple auto sticker cards that it's signed by Pluto, who like literally doesn't have hands.
Oh
You know,
my
like
gosh, yeah,
I
yeah.
I,
know
I
what
don't
you're talking
think
about.
I don't think there's like a voice actor for Pluto either, so you can't tell me that, right? I'm kind of curious, like who signs that? You know, it's like a ghost signer, right?
It's got to be a guy that roots
Yeah.
for him.
So you want to get the you want to get that guy. They do a great job. Those are beautiful signatures. Pluto's got paw prints on it. You want to get that person to go sign for you. Definitely.
Well, when you get signatures, it says on the back, it says that there's a witness that watches the guy sign it. It says it's been witnessed by Topps Authentic that this guy signed it. And I've gone into a room because I'm a delivery guy, I've gone in a room, watched Mac Jones signing helmets, and they had 3 guys standing there and making sure he was signing all the helmets
Well, that's good.
Interesting.
in a conference room at a hotel in Foxborough. So it says that that's what they try to do is they say there's a witness that watches these guys actually sign them on
Right.
all the cards.
JSA does that quite a
Mhm.
bit. You know what's interesting though? I was at the Comic-Con equivalent in Boston this summer, and JSA was there, and it was pretty fascinating. So they didn't technically witness it. So I got a couple things signed by actors at the show. I rolled up to the JSA booth and I'm like, "Oh, hey, I got these signed. Like I must have to send them away to get analyzed." He goes, "Nope, if they're at their show, I'll give you a sticker right now." And I was like, "Oh." And
Oh.
it's like JSA witnessed, but I guess it's sort of like you're there. You've got something signed by a person there. It's pretty hard to like fake that, I guess. They can kind of glance over and look, but I thought that was
Wait a
really
minute.
interesting.
Wait a minute, Nick. Did he look at your card,
Yeah, they
or
look
did he
at
just
it.
give you a sticker?
Yeah, no, they
Because
look at
what
it.
would prevent you from going in the bathroom and signing your cards and then walking over to the table?
Right. Yeah. No, they do. They do look at it. The guy looks
Okay.
at it. He goes in the database to make sure that guy's there, and then they slap the
Yeah.
sticker on. It
Okay.
was a pretty cool service, but I was kind of like, you didn't actually witness it. But like you say, if the auto looks right and they're there and you're at the show, it makes sense. But it's funny how it works.
Mm.
You go to these, shows and you get someone to sign. I went to one car show one time and Dale Earnhardt Jr. was there and I got a picture signed by him. But I mean, they didn't give you any sticker or anything saying that he signed it. And I have that picture framed over there. So, I know he signed it because he was literally in front of me, but you're taking my word that if I
Right.
sell it, hey, I was there. I saw Dale. He was right in front of me, gave me a picture and signed it right in my face. But you can't take anyone's word like that anymore. So
Right. Yeah.
I'd
Before
send that away to, what's that?
before I got back into the hobby, it was interesting. Like I had like my Tatum jersey on the wall. I'm like, who's ever going to believe me? I'd never really heard of like any of this stuff, like PSA, JSA, and Beckett or any of that. And now I finally sent my Tatum jersey in. It was like a 12-hour turnaround for like $30. And there's a JSA sticker on it now. They looked at it, and it's interesting. Like, so you could actually do that with your Dale Earnhardt thing. I mean, it might be risky to ship or whatever, but you could ship it to JSA. They'll give a little certificate. They'll put a sticker on it or on the back or whatever. It's pretty cool. Like I didn't even know that was a thing years ago.
Well, you don't really think you have to do it because you literally saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. in front of you sign it. So,
Right.
but
Right.
if you wanted to sell it or anything, no one's going to say, "Hey, yeah, I went to this card show and saw Dale in front of me and he signed it for him."
Crazy.
So,
So-
yeah, you got everything authenticated, I guess now, huh?
Very interesting. Well, keep us updated. If you get that redemption back, I want to know when. Hopefully, it's not like 3 years out, but we'll see.
And track
yeah.
the prices too. Like if
Yeah.
that thing starts going up, me and Nick want to know. too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's only 25 of them, so
Right.
hopefully,
Yep.
24 get sold before I get mine, and then
Then you gotta,
Mhm.
yeah. That'd be awesome.
who
So
wants a free paper?
Oh, that's
LZ,
great.
what do you
Yeah.
what have you had going on the last few weeks
Oh boy,
or last few months even? What are some of the big things in your
I've
life?
been supercharged recently with this 1986 Flair basketball autograph set of just getting this thing completed. And it's probably a good lesson. We talk to the audience a lot around use your social media channels and your Facebook groups and your Reddit feeds and your subgroups and all of those things. Um, I've done really well the past couple weeks. I reached out on SCN and Facebook, and at the time, I don't know, let's call it 4 weeks ago, I was probably eight cards away from finishing the set, something like that. But recently, I just got three big ones. I got Wayne Cooper, who just it's not there anymore. Like you can't even find comps. It's wild on eBay. The last Wayne Cooper that sold on eBay was, I think it was last October, and uh, you can't even find the comp anymore. I just found somebody who took a screenshot of it back in October, and that's the only reason why I knew. And the funny thing is I used Facebook to actually find out who bought that, so I confirmed with that actual person back in October. So I did get one of those. Well, actually, I got a few of those. So I was helping out another buddy, so I got two of those. So that was huge. Um, then another really hard one is Purvis Short. I don't know why, but he's really hard right now. That's another one I haven't seen.
He
Well,
can't
I
sign
shouldn't say
anymore. He's got a contract with someone. He signed for me before, and then he said, I can't. I'm under contract now. So whether
Yeah,
that's a
so he-
contract with the NBA Players Association, like he's just not allowed to sign
Mm,
stuff, or if he's got like an upcoming signing with Panini or something, he won't sign anymore.
maybe. Yeah, maybe that's it. Um, there was kind of a terrible one on eBay that I didn't want anything to do with. But other than that, so I nailed that one down. And then just in this past week, I got Orlando Woolrich, and that's a huge one. I mean, he's deceased, so
Yeah.
that's a tough get, and I nailed that one. So I am now down to 5 cards. So
Wow.
this is big. This is big for me, and the five are tough. They're tough. It's Pat Cummings. It's tough. He's deceased. It's Steve Johnson, who we've talked a lot about. It's not his photo on the card. He doesn't like to sign that card, so that one's going to be a difficult one. It's Michael Jordan. If anyone has Michael Jordan, I would
Yeah.
love to talk to you. It's Mike Mitchell, who is also deceased. That's a really hard one. And then there's Norm Nixon, who is alive. He used to sign a lot. Hasn't been signing lately. So for me, I'm trying to get really creative with getting these guys' attention, specifically Norm Nixon and Steve Johnson.
Mm.
I am been brainstorming, coming up with a plan on how I'm going to get both these guys' attention, whether it's, I don't know, mail things to their work or, just different things.
Knock on their door. Knock, knock.
Literally knock on their door. I actually reached out to SI King, who we had on, Scott, because
Oh,
Scott
geez.
is great at getting autographs. And the problem is Steve Johnson. I think he lives in like Oregon now, and Scott's like, Larry, I'm not taking
I'm
a
not
trip
going
out to
there.
Oregon
Yeah.
for you. Sorry,
Yeah, it's got to be
not
like in his
happening.
neighborhood.
Yeah, it's gonna be in his neighborhood. So shout out Scott. Thank you. I appreciate chatting with me a bit this week on that. So that's been taking up a lot of my time.
So what is what is
Yeah.
SCN just for the audience, and how did you
So
use that to get these cards?
what does SCN stand for? Sports Collectibles Network? Is that what it?
I just
I
Google
think-
SCN sports cards, and it's the first one that shows
Yeah.
up.
All right. So SCN is a great site. So if you're into TTMing, which is through the mail autographs, SCN has a great database of sharing addresses, but there's a lot more on that. I also use SCN to track upcoming autograph signings, because there is like this one page where you can sort by basketball, any sport you want, and it's just like a running list every day of the signings that are coming up. So that is something that I actually probably check. I actually check it like every morning,
Okay.
just real quick. Go on there, check it, because they highlight if new ones are there. See what that's for. And then the other thing, and this is where I got these cards, is they have like a community forum like area where you can just post things that you want to sell and things you're looking for. So I posted on there, hey, these are the 7-8 cards that I'm looking for in the set. Does anybody have them? And within 2 days, I got 3 people to respond with all those cards. So it's
Wow.
huge.
Yeah.
So definitely use that. And that's not just for autographs either, right? Like people are selling everything
Just
on
cards.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just all cards. So highly recommend that. I know Nick and I have mentioned that one in the past. That's even a good one for you if you're looking for cards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
I've
Have
never
you
heard
have
of
you
that.
heard of that before or used it?
Nope, never heard of that. Speaking a different
yeah,
language to me.
it's great. I mean, we talk about how Reddit is very useful too, but Reddit gets noisy because you have every single topic in the world being discussed on Reddit. SCN is a bit more focused, right? It's just sports collectibles. So that could be a good one for you to use and the audience to use as well. Um, yeah, so check that out, folks. Two other things. It's funny. We talk about Star Tiger, which is another website that we use for TTMs. And I used to use it a lot, especially earlier last year. And I just kind of stopped because I was focusing on, the 1986 set. And I got an email that my membership's going to expire. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I got to get back on there and renew the membership. So now that I've renewed the membership, I'm going to get back into TTMing. We've had a few guests on lately who have talked about how they're focusing more on kind of like pop culture cards as opposed to just sports cards. Star Tiger is really good for that. So I'm going to be jumping back into actors and actresses and different celebrities, trying to chase some of those. And then the last one, oh, actually, I'll ask you guys, what was the first ever basketball trading card? Where do you guys have any idea of the first
In
ever?
existence?
No, like the first ever card,
I'm
right?
gonna
Like,
go with, is that 1948, the George Mikan cards? 48, is that Leaf or I forget?
okay, that's your guess.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Okay, Brendan, do you have
I
any
have no
guess?
clue. I just
No
know
clue.
baseball. Was it in the cigar box, like the Honest Wagners and all that? I don't know.
So we're going that far back. Well, pretty far. 1933 Gaudi Sports Kings was the
Oh,
series. And
Okay.
there are 4 basketball cards in that set. This is a really cool set and it's worth checking out because it's not just baseball, it's not just basketball. Like there are boxers in there. I think there are like track and field stars in there, but there are 4 basketball players and that is the first basketball card.
huh.
So I'm very interested in that and I'm starting to keep my eye on those because I collect a lot of basketball. I My guess is let's call it over the next month. I'm probably going to try to pick up those 4 basketball cards.
Wow,
So yeah,
that's a good
Awesome.
set.
yeah. And then I don't
Scouts.
know. I mean, it's an interesting set, so maybe I'll try to build it out more and more. I mean, there's Babe Ruth in there. There's some big Hall of Famers in the set too. So
You can get blaster boxes of Sports Kings now too. I seen that at Target and Walmart. There's Sports Kings blaster boxes.
I
I don't know.
it actually it's funny you bring that up, Brendan, because it is confusing because I have that eBay search, right? And every morning I get the report from eBay if there's any new cards. And like
Yep.
every time that report comes out, I'm expecting it to only be a list of 1933. And there's all like these there's all these newer cards, modern cards that are getting
Yeah.
filtered into that list.
That search
Ye-
is tough, man. You're
It
almost
is.
better off setting up a bot and scripting it to go on eBay for you and just capture things that match certain keywords.
Mm,
I could do a whole episode on that though. I'd
yeah,
always
maybe we
use that to
should.
get cards.
Maybe we should. I mean,
Yeah.
even I put 1933 Gaudi Sports Kings in the search is still coming up with with all modern stuff. So it's
For the
yeah.
audience that wants to go down a rabbit hole, I'm not going to get into it now, but just Google Uptime Robot. All right. That thing is awesome. You can have it go look at sites for you every 5-6 minutes. It'll refresh and look for certain things. But yeah, maybe we'll do an episode about it in the future. But I have
Jeez.
used
Oh
that
my God.
Hopefully-
instead of using eBay search. Crazy.
Wow, Nick, I completely forgot about Uptime Robot. You and I went down a rabbit hole with Uptime Robot probably
It was awesome.
2 years ago.
It was awesome.
Oh wow. I'm gonna have to dust that
So,
tool off.
Cousin
Yeah,
Eddie,
let's-
what this tool did back during the pandemic, LZ and I would set this thing up and we would set up search parameters like Prism, Hobby Box, and then we'd punch in Target's websites. So This robot would go to Target and refresh every 5 minutes until it gets a hit. So the second they post it, boop, it emails you, there's been a change in the website. Click on that, boom, get your box. So that's how
Oh,
LZ and I were getting boxes ahead of people during the
that's how you
pandemic.
were getting your PlayStation 5s too, right?
Yes, that is.
That's
That is.
right.
Man, how many of those did I get for friends? I mean, geez, at least
That's
eight.
actually Nick.
10,
No, actually
20?
think about that. That's good for the audience. Like, how many PlayStation did you get off of that? Because you
All
were
right.
nailing them every single day.
Legitimately. So PlayStation dropped, I would say it was November 2020, something like that, right? I had one for myself by December. This is back when they were like 3 to 4 G's a piece, right?
Couldn't find them.
Yep, exactly. Then I got one for cousin Eddie, got one for my sister-in-law, got one for a friend, and then it was just like bing bam. I honestly think I got a dozen or more. And
Easy.
average value was probably 2 grand. So this free, or maybe it was like $100 a year program, basically made me 20 grand worth of stuff. Now I didn't go resell it. I just gave them to friends, but it was a useful tool. It works in everything.
There's definitely a free version. I wasn't using
Yes.
the paid one. I
Yeah.
was using the free
The paid one refreshes more often.
Mhm.
The free one does it every 5 minutes, but yeah, I mean, you don't have to even be into sports cards. You can use that to check concert tickets, reservations at restaurants, you name it. You name it.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought this
I guess
up.
we did go down a rabbit hole.
We did.
If
Yeah,
the
you have
audience
to
wants
tell
to
me
know
about
more about
that.
Uptime Robot, just hit me up.
Yeah, hit you up. And Uptime Robot, we want royalties moving forward because I think you guys are going to be an uptick in your business
Oh,
pretty
man.
soon. All right, enough about me. What's going on with you, Nick?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna lay this out I've been up to like three main things, right? So there's been sort of serendipitous stuff that I have not necessarily looked for that's just kind of come to me. Also because of this pod, which is awesome. So people are listening and they know we're Celtics fans. And I had this local guy with a signed 57 Russell, which for the audience is his rookie card. Russell's only on three main cards, 57, 61, and then he's got the 61 in action. So the 57 is like the holy grail sign. It's probably like, I don't know, 100 in existence, something like that. He did like one public signing ever. Um, it's nice, man. It's in ballpoint. It's got his number on it, which is a little bit rare. And he's like, dude, you want to do this deal locally? I live in Mass. And I'm like, where do you live? And he's in the town next to mine. Like, what? So, I grabbed some cash and I just met him at like a restaurant, like 10 minutes from my house. And within like a day, I had an autographed 57 Russell with no shipping risk, no like none of that crazy stuff, no negotiations it was a really, really good deal. I'm so thrilled. The cards are never leaving me.
That's
That
beautiful.
and
That's
then
awesome.
yeah, no, it's awesome. And then the 2 days later, I had somebody who's actually been on the pod, Jim Doyle Cards. He hit me up. He's like, dude, I fell into a 61 Russell. Are you interested? I'm like, oh man, I just bought a 57, but it's like, I've always
Can't turn
wanted
it
these.
down.
I've always
Mm.
wanted Russell cards. I've got his jersey on my wall, signed. Obviously, I'm a Celtics fan, love Russell and all that. And 61 is like his second best card. I mean, it's an iconic set, and it's got his like portrait on it. It's a beautiful card. And he sold it to me at a blue flip label price, which for the audience, PSA's old labels, it would just say like the auto's good and the card is good, but there's just no like grades, right? It was just like an authentication. So it's actually kind of a nice hack. So I took that card at that value. We'll make it up, right? Let's say it's 3 grand as a blue flip label. Okay. I sent it to PSA, paid a couple $100 to get this expressed. I actually just got the results back a couple days ago. It came back as a 310. So a very good condition. And this card is almost 70 years old.
Yeah.
A 2 authentic sold on eBay for $4,800. So this is probably more than that. And I won't get into what I paid or anything, but let's just say it doubled, the value of the
Wow.
card. Just like that.
Excellent.
With
Just like
$200
that.
of grading. So I was thrilled. Like just from this isn't stuff I'm flipping either. This is like my forever cards. Like I'm not
Mhm.
getting rid of Russell autographs at all. And for the audience, I'll take an inaction Russell if you have it, since that seemed to work.
There you go.
So that was just like a wild thing. It was like within 4 days, I had cards I thought it would take like 10 years to acquire. And the other crazy thing I'm working on is the 69 set. So I'm down to 5, which is like bonkers, man. And I'm just kind of like putting it out there. These are tough cards though. There's like 5 in the world. Um, Really tough. But I had a funny journey I thought the audience would appreciate. So Rick Edelman had not been signing. He's a Hall of Fame coach, I believe, from the NBA. He was a great point guard in the 60s and 70s. He's all of a sudden started back up and started signing cards again. And that really confused PSA. So they're rejecting everything signed by him. So I got this card. It went to
Nick,
Oregon.
hold on. Sorry.
Yeah,
Can I ask
go
a
ahead.
question? Why is PSA confused? Because they don't realize that he's doing signings, so they think they're all forged?
I forgot to mention this. For about a month,
Mm-hmm.
Rick's brother was signing his cards instead of him.
Oh.
And it really confused everybody because
Oh.
it's very similar penmanship.
Mhm.
And it's just wild, right? Like the brother's used to signing Edelman all the time, not the first name. So the last name looks almost identical, but the Rick is off. And so I got a TTM that was signed by his brother. I was like one of the first people to get one in like 5 years. Sweet, woo, yippee. And I sent it off. It just got rejected by everybody. I actually just tore it up. I was like so mad. Then
Ugh.
I noticed that he was actually signing cards like, and they were real. Like I had an expert look at it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then I went and sent to him. I got it signed by him, and it was him. Goes to PSA. All right. So this card it went to Oregon, it went to Massachusetts. Now I sent it from Massachusetts to California. It got rejected. It came back to me. Then I sent it to Texas, to BGS. Then it came back to Massachusetts. Rejected again. Then I sent it to JSA in New Jersey and sent it back to Massachusetts. It passed, but I wanted it in a slab. So I hit up PSA again, back to California, rejected, back to Massachusetts. And then finally, I went back to Texas again for BGS and back to me, and it got slabbed. So that thing made, I don't know, 12 trips across the country. I should have just bought it on eBay for a couple $100.
Nick, I think that card has Delta medallion status right now
It
after
does.
all of its travel.
All the radiation, like it's crazy. So
Should have got the frequent flyer miles on that thing.
That's right.
I think I was just so frustrated. I'm like, I'm getting this card in a slab, but at the end of the day, I really should have just bought it slabs on eBay.
Yeah.
And I probably paid about that much in shipping.
Oh, that's too funny.
But whatever, man. It's
You
slab.
didn't have the cool story though.
Yeah.
You didn't have the cool story.
It's wild. I've got 5 left for that set. That's going to be a slow roll. I mean, I did 86 in like 4 months. I think another year I'll get this, but yeah, and then the only other thing that's kind of cool and nostalgic, LZ, this was actually your Christmas present to me. I'm sure the audience remembers the Skybox cards, that like gold, the gold background and the borders. Cousin Ed, you remember those, right? The Skybox NBA cards. That was a great set.
They were
Not
way
worth
ahead of their time.
Yeah, way
Yeah.
ahead of their
That was
time.
the
They
first
had
basketball card I got.
they had like higher resolution than computers at the time. It was pretty wild. But the set's worth crap. Like nothing's worth anything in that set because they overprinted it. But there's a really cool subset, and there's the prototype cards. And I went down a rabbit hole with that. There are not many of those. I think they're underpriced. I probably shouldn't even be talking about it, but I think they're underpriced. And I said, you know what, man, I'd love to get this set signed because it's not that arduous. It's like 12 cards and then a few announcer cards. A Jordan, yeah, I'll never get that signed. But besides that, I should
Never
be
say
able to do
never.
it. Right, never say never. So LZ, as a good brother-in-law, he got me the cards for Christmas, and I had to go start sending them out. And I've got Drexler, and I've got Magic, and I've got some outstanding TTMs. The wildest story, though, there's this guy Ronnie Cycli. He played for the Heat. He was a decent center, journeyman kind of guy. He's like a world famous DJ, like very rich.
Like him and Paulie D are hanging out on the weekends.
He goes from like Aspen to Ibiza to whatever.
Wow.
And it's like, I'm never going to get this guy to sign my card. And
No, you will.
I'm tracking him.
Nick, you will. Just do the exact thing that you did with Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah. Go to the venue, right?
The exact thing.
I know. I'm going to do that eventually. But these cards, they're like $20 a pop. And it's like, oof, you don't want to
waste
every time. It's got to be like a really good shot. Like I wanted to be there for a few nights. But yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been an interesting few months. I think my next few months are just kind of like, the set, just keep working that set. And upgrading 86 too. But yeah, it's been fun.
I'm glad you're having fun with that skybox set. I want to go back to one thing that you said when you were talking about Russell, how Russell did very, very few public signings, right?
Yeah.
Um, we have a friend, Steve, who Steve, we know we're going to eventually get you on the show. Schedules have
Yes.
not worked yet, but we will get you on the show. Steve shared a photo that like blew me away, like probably let's say a month ago. It was him at a Costco, and Bill Russell was doing a signing at a Costco. It was a book signing. So
Wow.
we're literally, this is Bill Russell. So that is like, I want the audience to think of Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and like Kobe Bryant, any three of those doing a signing at a Costco. Like that is wild.
Vintage
So,
cards weren't it back then.
yeah,
You
I
know,
know.
it's a whole different world now. I mean, you could see like that Pistol Pete Maravich rookie. That's a $15,000-$20,000 card now. Back when that picture was taken, that card was probably like $800.
Mhm.
It's people have recognized vintage cards as art or something rare, and money has come into the hobby to purchase these things. Like, I don't really want like a Jackson Pollock on my wall, even if I could afford it, but I damn sure want like a Russell jersey on my wall, or
Yeah.
on my desk I want like a signed Russell card. So it's kind of like our art, I think. I don't know.
Mhm.
Eddie, what do you think about that, man? Is this art?
What do
Is this like, how do you feel about like all this, like displaying these things, or like the vintage side of
Yeah.
things?
Hey, it's hard to get these guys when they, pass away, unfortunately. Pistol Pete died unexpectedly. I mean,
Yeah.
and there must be not many of those cards signed, his rookie card, because, he got in the league and I think he played like 4 or 5 years. And then, who's giving him a card and sign? Or at least he was a good player. I was going to ask you guys, what's the hardest card to get signed for your 86, 55? Because, who wants I'm making up a name, but like a Daniel Pierce. I mean,
Yeah.
who went to get his
Mhm.
autograph and now he's dead? I mean,
I'll
who's
let
the hardest?
LZ I'll
It's
let
the
LZ speak for 86, and then I'll speak for 69.
Yeah, so for 86, I mean there's a few of them. The one that stands out is Mike Mitchell. Because he passed away at a young age. He didn't have many years to sign. And he didn't sign very often. So I think outside of MJ, that is probably the
Yeah.
hardest, Michael Jordan. That is the hardest card to get. And unfortunately, that is one of the cards that I need to
That you
get.
need. We've
But
got a
there are
couple leads. We've got a
yeah,
couple
there are
leads, LZ.
yes, thank you. Yeah, that's going to be huge. But yeah,
How many are
there's
there?
a couple tricky ones like that one,
Yeah.
Brendan.
How many
Like
are there available? You guys
of
know?
Oh,
Mike Mitchell?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is interesting, Eddie. Like I think about this at night. Like I'm like, how many of the signed Mitchells can possibly exist on the planet? Same thing. There's two other cards, Derek
Because
Smith and Dan
who's getting Mike
Roundfeld.
Mitchell signed? No offense to Mike
Right.
Mitchell. I mean, that's
And
the tough part.
even
You go to
further,
a
like,
game, like you're getting Tatum's autograph on the stars. I
yeah,
mean,
you
who
know.
goes
mhm,
and gets?
But
right.
It's
even
like
even
randomness.
even more so, like the timing is everything. Roundfeld retired the next year after that set came out, so people weren't bringing that card to his games to get signed. The way I got my Roundfeld was an old school TTM guy that was just a fan of the team.
Hmm.
Happened to, it'd be like us going after Peyton Pritchard, right? Like he's not going to be an all-time great. No one's going to necessarily think about him in 30 years. But Larry and I have some autographed cards of his that maybe a
Yeah.
set collector will care about in
Yeah.
30 years. It's the same
Yeah.
exact thing.
Sure.
Hmm.
And for 69, there's cards that are expensive in terms of difficulty, like the Wilt, because Wilt died in the late 90s before signing his rookie cards became a thing. So the timing was just horrendous in terms of collection. And obviously he's just him, Kareem, like Havlicek. Those are very expensive cards. But again, it's like it's like you say, the toughest card is Bill Bridges and Guy Rogers. You're a great trivia guy, Eddie. Have you heard of either of those two before me doing this set?
Yes, I
Oh,
have.
okay. Well,
I have.
asking, how about you? How about you, LZ? Have you heard
I
of those
have.
two guys?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
All right.
Probably the wrong two to ask. But
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. So
Yeah.
those two are really hard.
Mhm.
Guy Rogers, it's like for Mike Mitchell, I bet you there's no more than 50 in the world signed, Addicts
Wow.
and Pop. And for 69, we're probably saying
Oof.
20,
Right.
25.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's really hard. And there's a lot more Picassos in the world. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Even
so
if
it's
you're
tough.
making a set, those guys won't give them those up because why break up their set to give it to you? I mean, if they're trying
Right.
to do the set,
Yeah, and
that
these old
makes it
timers
even
have
harder.
them. It's hard to
Mhm.
it's hard to prime away. It's kind of like there's a guy Tom in the 86 group. He has the whole 86 Fleer set, but it's raw. And he's got doubles of things. He's got a smudge Derek Smith. He'll never part with that. He'll never he almost did for like a signed Jordan 80s thing. I'm like, Tom, what am I doing? Like, no. And he still wouldn't do it though. Still wouldn't do it. So it's like my precious, with
Mhm.
these cards of these guys. And then I hate to say it, man, the people who collected these, they're getting older. They're retiring. They're going off to places. They're doing things. That stuff in the attic it's probably getting
Yeah.
yard saled and tossed.
Do
And
their kids know the value of those?
no way. No
Oh,
way they do. I mean, I
No.
bet you 1 in 100 does, right?
right.
So
Wow.
yeah, you got to get your hand. This vintage stuff, get it now. Get it now.
Mhm.
Because I
Mhm.
think in 10 years it's just gone. Like gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being
Hey,
Celtics
Eddie.
fan, can you
What's that?
imagine what a Len Bias card would be going for? The guy
Yeah,
never even had a card.
If he had an 86 Fleer card, could you imagine?
Oh,
Like
Yeah,
if he
that's what I'm
signed
saying.
like if he signed like 2 of those on draft night or something, and
If
like
that.
if
Good
that,
luck.
it would be like a Lou Alcindor 69 card, it would be worse than that because at least Lou
Mhm.
Alcindor had his name for like a year,
Yeah.
Len Bias died like very
sure.
2 or
that
3
might be
weeks
a
after he got
zero.
drafted.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? Like he didn't have that card, but would have.
He never had a
Mhm.
card.
Wow.
Imagine if he did though. Good
boy.
luck.
Ooh, that would
Yeah.
be the card in that set for
Yeah.
sure. And some
Holy
of these
grail.
cards, I mean, just so the audience knows, like that MJ card will set you back 30 to 50 grand, right? The base card. Mike Mitchell, it can claim to 5 grand, like Roundfeld Smith, and it blows your mind. You're like, what am I
Yeah.
doing? Like,
Mhm.
that's not how much I paid for one, but there's one
No,
on
me
eBay right
neither.
now for $10,000 because
No.
they think that they can get that. And to be fair, I think it will hit that eventually. Those 3 cards. No,
Eventually.
in 20 years,
Eventually. Yeah.
like
Oh,
that type of
definitely.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild,
Mhm.
man.
It is wild.
Cool.
Hey, Eddie, I want to get your reaction to something. Me and Nick actually recently did an emergency pod on this topic, but I want to fill you in case you're not up to speed. So we have PSA, big dog when it comes to grading. There's another really solid grading company called SGC, and PSA went and bought them, scooped them up. And Nick and I did this reaction because we didn't know what was going on, right? What's going to happen? And now that the dust has settled and we have learnt about it, I do want to just kind of cover this today, Nick. I think it would be good for you and I now that we know a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
we're
Brendan,
deep in the weeds, right? I want
Yeah.
to know what Eddie
Yeah.
thinks about this because he's
Yeah,
not in the
Eddie.
weeds like us.
Sure. Yeah. So what do you think, Eddie, when we're talking about a big player scooping up one of the kind of the other great players in the space, but certainly not as big. Any thoughts?
I got one word for you. It's called monopoly. I mean, those little companies I like because they were cheaper. If you wanted to go CBGB or SBC or whatever and all that, I mean, they were cheaper. And now that PSA's getting, everyone has to go PSA. Or it used to be Beckett, but I heard Beckett doesn't even. I think there was only like 5% of Beckett cards get graded now. I mean, people don't even go there. Everyone goes
Oh.
PSA. And I like the way Beckett does because they give you 2 scores. I mean, they give you. I mean, if you get a 10 out of Beckett, those cards are big box. But first thing I thought of is I'm still don't know how to do this grading stuff, so it doesn't really bother me if they buy them all up. I'm probably still I gotta watch more of your podcast because I don't know how to do this grading stuff. And I think this stuff is it's getting into the point where I'm surprised they haven't bought them all out, and it's a monopoly, and it's just PSA and PSA only. I mean, everyone wants PSA anyway, so for the most part.
They
The
are
only reason-
private companies, so there's different rules, but the monopoly still applies. So it's
Yeah.
interesting you say that.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought they were those other. I looked at pricing at other rating companies, and they were a little cheaper. And now
Yeah.
they're going to PSA, and you're paying what PSA's selling you what $15 a card or something like that. Where other ones, I don't know, they were like $5 a card. So
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be a monopoly, and I don't want to go down my rabbit hole with grading cards. I mean, I think that's the biggest scam in the world. I like selling raw cards. I always will sell raw
Mhm.
cards. I just think if you have to pay $200 to get a card graded, and then you can sell it for $2,000. I mean, I think it's the biggest scam in the world, honestly, from my perspective. But I get why people do it, because you're actually grading how gorgeous the card is, especially when you guys are getting into your vintage cards. I mean, if you have a PSA 10 52 Mantle, I mean, well, that's a chance of you getting one of those. I mean, it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's
So
that Mantle's what 10 million. Fogels it's probably no, it's worth more than that. That's probably a $20 million card now
Mhm.
oh,
because he's
easily.
got he's got the best one of the
Yeah.
there's 3 10s and he has the best 10. You know what? That's basically like a really nice piece of art, like from a
Mhm.
top tier, like the best Jackson Pollock painting, the best Rembrandt painting. It's
Go.
25
Yeah.
mil plus.
Mhm.
It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine
Yeah,
if you had
so-
one of those Honest Wagners out of 10, which you'll never find one of them because they were in
No,
a
yeah.
tobacco box and they had all the stains and all that. They were crunched
Right.
in there.
Although
Yeah.
But a 10
Probstein, that Lucky 7 find is wild. I mean, I don't know if you guys know about that with the T206s, but like they literally found an attic. The father passed away and they had a shoebox perfectly preserved T206s. You can Google it and they actually put together like a little like poster with all of them. I mean, so Probstein has one of them. I think the ultimate it was like $10 million of value they found in like a shoebox in an attic. It's wild.
Crazy.
And there's got to be like one or two more,
Mhm.
It's crazy. It's like a treasure
Yeah.
hunt. It's so fun.
Yeah, those attic stories are still out there. Yeah, so fast forward, I mean, what we've learned with SGC, Nick, is that they are going to run it as two separate companies.
Right. Good.
And that was some of our fear, right? That when we originally talked about this. So that's good. That's good.
They always say that. They always say
know.
that in a merger and an acquisition, and they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have these 2-year non-compete terms that apply. You have people kind of lame duck at SGC that probably you can leave before 2 years, but there's a ratio with what you're going to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Then after the 2 years, all hell breaks loose,
Yeah.
and you might see some prices rise. So I think for 2 years you'll see nothing change, other than they're just under that umbrella. But I think after 2 years, you're going to start to see some changes.
Mhm.
We'll see. I could be
The
wrong.
clock has started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question for you guys. So
Mhm.
why would you go to the other company instead of PSA and get it graded? I mean, just
Yeah.
for the slab, the way it looks, or
That's one piece of it.
Yeah, it's a nice
Nice.
looking black border slab that people do
Mhm.
prefer, especially for vintage. If you look a lot of those T206s and old, like very, very valuable like baseball cards, most of them are in SGC holders. Just people feel like they look better,
Mhm.
but
Those
are they gonna grade it
1933
differently?
What's
the
that?
1933
Are they
Gaudis
gonna
that I
grade
was
them
talking about.
differently?
I don't know. I don't think they'll I don't think that they'll
Or is it
change.
PSA grading?
Well, that's a great question. Is are the grading standards going to stay separate and
Yeah.
mutually exclusive? I don't know. I don't know.
First 2 years.
First 2 years
they'll
should be
say-
fine.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Mhm.
But I mean, there's the other benefits too. Like, I mean, the slab's easy to crack, so you can the PSA thing. That's a little bit of an adventure every time. SGC is easy, man. Just take that
Better
thing out back.
price,
Better prices. Yeah.
better pricing, better turnaround time too. I
SGC
think.
does more shows too, like in
Yeah.
person. So if you want to, if you're worried about shipping your stuff, like SGC will be a more regional big shows like the Philly show and things like that, where PSA is pretty much just at the national and maybe one more.
Mhm.
So
So
you
you just
got
get a warm fuzzy feeling inside that PSA owns it now when you go get the other
gue-
company to grade it.
I
I
guess.
guess. I mean, I don't
I
think there'll be
just
much
don't see a
change.
point if they're
Yeah.
gonna run differently.
Right. I think
Yeah.
its cost is primary, probably. If
I
SGC
get
still
why
has
PSA
cheaper
bought
prices.
them. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
it's
you
another
want to
company
vertically
owned.
integrate. Of course.
Yeah.
Of
Mhm.
course. PSA
Yeah.
also
I'll
owns
give
an
money
auction
on
house
separate.
too. It's yeah, it's an interesting fallout that we're not going to see the outcome of for a couple of years. And I don't think it'll make a difference right away. I don't think
Mm.
anybody's going to change their behavior too much. I think Beckett might get a little tiny boost of just
Yeah.
irritated people going to them, just being like,
Nick,
yeah,
that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Beckett. Whenever these big deals happen, I mentioned it on the emergency pod around opportunities. Beckett's got this is ripe for opportunity for Beckett. They have
Yeah.
to step up. They have to figure out how to grab some of these
Mhm.
customers that are maybe upset about this deal. So that's a big one. And then the other one, I was just taking notes when Eddie was talking. Eddie shies away from this because they're still difficult for him to figure out how to submit. That's an opportunity for somebody,
yeah,
for a company. Make it super easy.
Yeah.
Make it so easy that Eddie, all he has to do is put the cards in a box and just send them to you. Doesn't have to
Perfect.
fill out this complicated form. He just
Perfect.
puts the cards in a bubble wrap and sends it to you.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know.
Like that's the opportunity. Grab
They'll
market
wipe out
share.
the whole middleman industry by doing
Yes.
that because you got all these companies that will submit for you. They're at every show. I
Mhm.
think locally we have Card Vault. I think that's actually a great service because the Eddies of the world, they can just walk into the card show and be like, here's my card. They'll say, here's the price, and this is when you get
Mhm.
it back, and you're done. There should be no reason. Like for me, even personally, I guess, I don't know, expert's a bad word and a dangerous word to use, but I know what I'm doing with grading cards. I still send to the wrong Beckett every now and then. There's a way to encapsulate and there's a way to authenticate. And sometimes I'll send a card just for the letter route, and then they call me and they're like, do you want to change this? And it's a huge pain. So even I
Ugh.
mess it up. That tells you that it's complicated.
Yes, I messed it up too. Nick, I'm going to bring up what happened last night. I was texting you last night at like 10
You were so
o'clock
scared.
at night. Oh, man.
LZ
I
had a
was-
heart attack last night. And I,
I
was
did.
like,
I had
"Jeez."
a heart attack. I had
Well,
a
you
heart
look-
attack.
Having a
I
heart
was
attack.
I was taking I have about 2086 cards that are in different labels, BGS, a couple SGC, a couple old school PSA, and I just want to get them all PSA'd, get them all in the new slab. And this one card in particular, paid a couple $1,000s for it. And when I was submitting, it asked for the cert number and it was coming up as a Pokemon card. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got screwed. I bought this card like 8 months ago. And I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do?
I'm trying to
So
enjoy a show, and LZ's texting me frantically.
You
Because
gotta
we
check this for me.
actually traded cards. So that's
Yeah.
my old card, and I traded for one that you got or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm on the
Yeah.
hook here, and I'm like, this is just too much.
Yeah.
And then finally, I figured it out for him.
Yeah. We figured it out and it was like, oh man. So
So
yeah,
the same
even-
number was shared in two
Mhm.
places, and you actually have to click. So he's okay. He's okay. The card's good.
so we definitely just scared Eddie more. on
Yeah,
why,
yeah.
why
So
not to do
Thanks.
it gets
this.
gnarly. So
So there is
honestly,
law.
if
What
you
am I
don't
even
want
doing?
to take a couple hours to learn, you are perfectly fine going to your local show and just saying, here you go, guys. And
Yeah.
you don't even have to do it at a show. There are companies you can just Google that are very trustworthy. You can just send it to them. So then all you're doing is shipping it and you're done, and they do it. And then
Yeah.
there's other cool services like Probstein I've like been diving into. You literally just ship them cards and they handle all the eBay stuff for you. It's pretty cool. So it's just easy stuff like that. It's a lot of opportunity,
Well,
All right, I
Beckett
just
should go
thought
back
about-
to what they're doing. What did they start as us as kids? They had the book with the pricing.
Yeah.
I don't know why Beckett never goes back to pricing
Oh
like
man, I know you're
like-
preaching to the choir. Like LZ and I
Mhm.
talk about this all the time.
slab
like
Yes.
cards. Price them. Have a website and price your
Yes.
cards. That's what you started
yeah,
as.
and charge $20 a
Like-
year for membership, and you become the
Exactly.
Dow Jones of sports
Yes.
cards. Everybody's
Take
tried
eBay-
it, right?
eBay
Like
right out of there.
Sports
they
Card
do the
Investor
price-
has an index, and everybody's got an index. But if Beckett did it, they would just wipe out everyone. They would have the best
Yep.
index right
That's
now.
what they started
Mhm.
as. We all bought the books and
Of
looked at
course,
what's the Michael Jordan rookie card. Looked it up in the
of course,
that's
we
what
did.
Beckett started as.
I know. PSA has like a dummy version that comes out every quarter, and I'm like, I wish it was more.
Yeah,
I
it's
wish it
stripped
was
down.
like,
Yeah, it's small. Yeah.
Beckett should go
Mhm.
back to what they were good at, pricing. I mean, that's what
Right.
they started as, and
That's
that's what
it.
they should always do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, Nick, I
Agree.
just thought of another show we need to do. The easy button show
The easy
with
button.
cousin Eddie in mind. All the easy button tricks for
All the
audience.
hacks. Sports
Yeah,
card
let's-
hacks. Got
yep.
it.
We're gonna
All
do
right.
that.
So
Okay.
we've been talking a while. So we got a couple more things I think we wanted to cover. So cousin Eddie, I always tell LZ that you are like wired in, you're wired in for especially hockey. Like you really know hockey well. You know a few other sports pretty well too. You've been texting me, I don't know, a few times about different players to watch. So can you tell me about a few of those? One was the college hockey player you actually went to go see, and then a couple others. So who are you keeping an eye on right now?
Wow. Right now, you got to look at Connor Bedard. I mean, he's the big name right now.
Yeah.
His card's just coming out right now in Upper Deck. I mean, Series 2, you want to talk about a price jump. Series 1 box of Upper Deck was like $120. The Series 2, because it's got his young gun in it, $300 a box now.
Woo!
Oh,
Wow.
doubled. More
So
than doubled.
Connor Bedard's the man in the
Yeah.
hobby right now in hockey. And I went to a BU game, and Macklin Celebrini, he's supposed to be the #1 pick next year. He's only 17, and he was pretty exciting to watch. Yeah, I went over to try to get his autograph. I looked like an old creeping guy, 45, trying to get a 17-year-old's autograph. I mean, that's kind of weird, but I mean, if he's going to go #1, I mean,
Yeah.
he's going to be really good. He's probably going to go to the Blackhawks too. So can you imagine him and Bedard on the same team? Because the Blackhawks are the worst team again. So,
Wow.
and he was kind of a small guy. I went and saw Jack Eichel back when he was at BU, and Jack Eichel was fast. He did the Bobby Orr. He went behind the net, went right in and scored. And this guy doesn't really have that much speed and stuff like that. He just moves, and I mean, he's going to be a good player. I think he's going to be really good. But it was exciting to see. I only went to the game just to see him.
Yeah.
I guess BC has a couple of guys on their team that were all drafted last year, and they were all top 5 guys too. I would have loved to see the BC BU game and see these other 3 guys that are supposed to be really good. But
Interesting.
I had to see this guy. He's anticipated to go #1 next year. His name's Macklin Celebrini. So
All right.
Okay.
We'll keep an eye on that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Anybody else in any other sport you keeping an eye on?
not really.
Just hockey?
No,
Cool. All right.
baseball coming up.
Yeah.
So the big rookies are coming out in baseball. Series 1 came out. You got the Ellie Dela Cruz, Jackson Holiday's coming out, Wyatt Langford, all those guys. I'm kind of excited to watch. Baseball's got a good future coming up with their
I know.
young
Eddie,
studs that are
I
coming out.
actually want to watch baseball again, which is really weird. So I don't know. It's because I'm a parent and I'm just busy and I haven't had time to just watch this. But now they've got some exciting players to watch. And I'm kind of
Mhm.
like, this is actually interesting television. So that's a good sign.
Yeah.
It is a good sign. But the problem with baseball, they got to stop marketing these guys. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the games. 162 games is just a long season,
It's a
and
grind.
the
Mhm.
first month it's like, oh well, I don't need to watch the first month of baseball. And the games are long. At least baseball is taking a bigger step with the time clock and all that, making it better to watch. 4.5 hours of watching a baseball game is brutal. I mean, and at least they're making changes to make it a lot more exciting to watch. Unfortunately, our Red Sox are looking that great this year, so I'm not excited about them at all. They got nothing coming up that's
No.
exciting.
They have a cool guy with a cool name, though. Is Blaze Jordan still a Red Sox prospect? Because I love that
is.
name. All right.
He is.
Blaze Jordan. I
The
like
guy
it.
has a lot of power, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Guy can
All right.
500-foot home run, but he's a big collector. He actually has breaks and stuff. He's online all the time. Yeah,
Wow.
he's a
No
big
way.
collector. He does breaks. You should go check him out on YouTube. If you look at Blaze Jordan, he's on there all the time. It's kind of like
think I
Bill
will.
Hughes doing hit breaks and stuff like that, opening boxes.
I wish my parents named me Blaze Andrews. I'm a bit sick. It's gonna be awesome. All right, I'm gonna check him out. Cool. Thanks, cousin Eddie. It's sort of a state of a state of prospecting.
That's right.
March Madness is right around the corner. We get to see the basketball prospects coming up now
That's
too.
true. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man, those are a great few days. It's like my
Mhm.
my favorite 3 days
Oh.
or whatever it is in sports.
It's great
Um,
doing the brackets. It's just
yeah.
so much fun.
I know.
good
So
time.
much, it's fun with the you can just kind of pick from your phone now too, which is cool. You can do brackets and everything, which is pretty fun.
And you just know spring is around the corner. The good weather's coming. It's a
right.
great time for us.
Onward and upward. All right, so we're going to close down this pod with kind of one final question. This was hard for me, so we're trying to keep this St. Patrick's Day themed because it's coming up this weekend, and we're going to do for the three of us our favorite Irish athlete. And I had a tough time thinking of one. I thought of one immediately, and it was too easy. But who wants to go first on this? Maybe that's me. All right, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
you
go
go
first.
first.
All right,
Go
cool.
first.
So
I
the,
can't even think of one.
all right, so immediately I'm like, oh well, this Conor McGregor, right? But that's just so obvious. So then I actually started thinking, and I looked at lists of players. I'm like, it's all soccer guys that I don't really know. But then I thought of a good one, especially because I'm wearing a Celtics jersey right now. Kevin McHale. He is an Irish sports figure, Hall of
There we go.
Fame basketball player for the Celtics. So that's my pick. I hope the audience has some other ones that we're missing, but that's my pick for now. All right, who's next?
Um, I'll go. I'll go. Mikhail's a good one.
Hmm.
I I did think about this one a little bit because obviously we prepared for this one. This isn't on the spot necessarily, but John McEnroe,
Mm,
tennis player, 80s, maybe early 90s, maybe late 70s, kind of that span. Um, he was
Good throw.
wild.
yeah.
He was wild. Um, love to argue with the referees, love to get feisty with his opponents.
A lot of throwing rackets.
Yeah,
lot of throwing-
lot of thrown rackets. And he's also a really good announcer. He's he's
Very
been
good.
a public figure for a while now. But I like his passion. I sometimes like his opinions. Don't have to agree with all the opinions, but that one stands out to me. Conor McGregor came to mind. The other one, there's an up and coming UFC fighter that I think is Irish, Paddy the Baddy. He's got ties to Barstool Sports.
Good name.
And he's wild. He's wild. He's got a massive personality.
Oh, he's an Irish gypsy fighter, man. He's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
If
You
ever
know
watch
him,
the
Eddie.
movie Snatch.
Yeah. So those are the ones that came to mind for me. What do you got,
All right.
Eddie?
Well, mine is I'm a golfer, so I'm gonna go with. I did the same thing. I looked up guys, and it was like all these soccer players. I've never even heard of these soccer guys, So I'm going with what I'm a golfer. I got to go Rory McIlroy. I mean,
Oh yeah.
guy is a class act. I've gone to a lot of golf tournaments. I mean, the guy is fighting for the PGA. He's all against the live golf tournament and all that. And, biggest class act. I've gone to a couple tournaments, and he literally stood in a whole line and signed every kid's autograph for him. I mean, he was there for 45 minutes an hour, just signing everyone's autograph. Fortunately, I didn't get it. My sister got his autograph. And of course, he celebrated my sister. And he's a class act. I mean, the guy talks well. I mean, he's pretty much a great role model for golf. I mean, the only thing I don't like about him, I always root for the Americans. So he's a European guy. So, when the Ryder Cup comes around, I'm always root for the Americans. So I got to.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, sorry, Rory, I'm not rooting for you. But other than that, the guy is a class act, and I would put him as the best Irishman.
Cool.
He's up there. That's a solid one. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure
he's such a nice guy too. I mean, he's just so friendly to all his fans and everything else. I mean, great guy. Great for golf, great for the sport.
Yep.
cool. Well, I'm sure we're missing some. That's for sure. I bet there's one that like some glaring one that we're not thinking of. Which,
we're all on the Conor McGregor. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's too
Yeah.
easy.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Cousin Eddie, thanks for joining us again, man. I think we'll have you back every few months. Maybe we'll do like a 4th of July episode or something like that with you.
Perfect.
But this was good. It was good to hear about what you're up to, because I think a lot of our audience is kind of dealing with the same stuff that you're dealing with, redemptions and complications with grading and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to hear about your side of things. And I think we got on some crazy tangents with like, Uptime Robot and other stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully this is a helpful episode, but it was fun for us. Yeah. Happy St. Patty's Day to anybody celebrating it this Happy upcoming weekend. Cheers, everyone. And yes, till next time. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.